million comic books, 100,000 toys, sports cards, non-sports cards, mostly comics though. There are a lot of comics in here. So people have been asking us about doing a longer form video, talking about the people that had this before us, kind of the whole story on it. So I thought I'd try and do a one taker. I don't know, we'll see. So you guys might know me more for, or you probably don't know me at all, but if you've watched videos before, it's been storage locker stuff. I buy storage lockers. Well, this was a buy that I stumbled into where I got a partner and we bought 3 warehouses full of all this kind of stuff. So it's like those above me, those are all 1990s Star Wars figures. So we have been running through all this stuff. We've been selling it on Whatnot. We've been selling on eBay Live. We've sold some on eBay. We're running through a bunch of, but if you look, I mean, here's some long boxes of comics. We haven't been through those. I poked around the top of them, but the levels below it haven't even gone through. We found some pretty amazing stuff in here. I figure maybe I would start by kind of telling you, like I say, the question we always get, well, where did this stuff come from? So that story is, I've always been an eBay seller. I've been a buyer of warehouse of, estates. I buy a lot of estates, or I used to before I bought this one. I buy a fair number of storage lockers. I love doing storage lockers. I was on Storage Wars one time. I was with Daryl, everybody's favorite. Daryl, rest in peace, my friend. I did a thing with him where I was an expert for the Mexican beer trays. He found one, and then I was there for some filmings, probably 4 or 5 of them after that. And then they stopped sending me the information. So if you know anybody with original productions, I would love to come back out. So if they can let me know when they're filming, let them know. I'd appreciate it. But I had a friend, someone that I kind of knew in periphery. Someone I knew she was an eBay seller. I'd seen her. I'd kind of known her for 3 or 4 years. Kind of see her coming and going. We had warehouses kind of in the same neighborhood, so that's how I got to know her and the guy that I don't think was her husband, but they did it together. So they had this warehouse. Well, it turns out they had 3 warehouses, and they never let anybody in there. I had no idea what was in the warehouse. I only knew of one warehouse that she had. Well, one day she came out. I saw her. We stopped and talked a little bit. It turned out that I think it was her friend, partner, had passed away. He had passed away a few months earlier, and she said she was just done with this. And she had so much stuff, she had no idea what she was going to do with it. She's like, she had all this. She had some stuff listed on eBay. She probably had 6,000 items listed on eBay, but she had intentionally priced them pretty high. She did not want to be shipping 50 things every day. So she was probably selling maybe 10 things a week. When you have over 1 million items, that's going to take a while to sell it. So she reached out. She said, hey, Mike, I have all the stuff. If you know anybody that would be interested in buying it, I'd love to show you. She knew that I did a lot of high volume selling, pretty high volume. So she reached out and she asked me, could you help me find a buyer for the stuff? I said, okay, that's great. I have to kind of know what it is you've got. So if you want to show me what you have, then we'll see what your next best step is. I can sell anything. Yeah, it's not. I mean, whatever it is, even if I don't know anything about it, I can sell anything. So she had seen what I did. She had come by my warehouse a few times, saw the kind of volume I was doing, and she always complimented me and told me that she was pretty amazed at how much stuff I'm moving. She'd see me bringing a truck and trailer full of stuff, 2 or 3 times a week, and so that's how she knew me. And so she took me to her main warehouse, which actually turned out to be this one. There was no pallet racking. It was a big sea of pallets, completely full from all the way from the door, all the way out there. It was just a sea of pallets. She had been in this place for so many years, the lights had all burned out. So she had little lamps because they couldn't get in here to change any of the lighting. Or maybe she didn't want people in here, but those are 30 feet up in the air. So it was kind of a big dark cave. And so I looked through things and I spent about an hour and I was like, holy Moses, looking at all this stuff. So I went through and she said, okay, well, now you got to go see this second warehouse. So this one's about 6,000 square feet. The other one was about 2,000 square feet. So we went through that one. There was even an old Mercedes parked in there. I sold that for her before any of this other stuff happened. Actually, I sold 2 or 3 cars for her. She was kind of cleaning up her life a little bit, and so I helped her with that stuff first. And then, so yeah, we went through that warehouse, and it was another sea of pallets, 2,000 square feet. He said, okay, there's one more warehouse where you don't tell anybody about it, and it's kind of where I keep the good stuff. So she took me there. We looked through it, and that was all the graded comics, all the high-end stuff, some wild stuff. So after that, I went, okay, holy Moses, let's think this through. And so what we did is we talked, and we came up with a price, and it was a substantial price with many digits. And I said, okay, I will start looking for buyers for you. And so that's what I did. I started looking for buyers. I actually know some people that kind of in this space a little bit, people that will buy kind of anything. And so I shopped around a little bit, and got a lot of lowball offers. Most of them were about half of what we were asking. And when we're talking such a huge number, half is a big cut. I mean, that's there's no way. And then I talked to my buddy who owns a brewery. He owns Jackrabbit Brewing. My friend Earl, I'm like, do you know anybody that would be interested in possibly buying out these warehouses? I told him what was there. I gave him a partial tour, showed him this warehouse. She didn't really want anybody else going to the other warehouses. But I showed him this one. He's shopping around. He had a guy, and the guy was kind of interested, but not super interested. I mean, they were pretty interested, but they wanted to pay less. And I really think it was worth the number we were asking. I'm looking at this like, man, this is a gold mine for the right person. And then my friend Earl, after a couple weeks of kind of going back and forth with people, talking to him about possibly buying it, he said, you know what? Why don't we buy it? We're looking for the right person to buy it. I think we already know the right people to buy it, him and me. So that's what we did. We went ahead and we pulled the trigger. We paid the full asking price, the same price that I was shopping around to these other people. I didn't talk her down, didn't try and get the special deal. Earl and I paid the full price. And here you go. These are all graded comics right here, selling through those. And so that's how we ended up with it. We got it. She was incredibly grateful to move it all in one shot. There was no way she was going to piece this out. There was no way that she wanted to bring a bunch of different people through here to try and sell it for, try and shop it around. Once you start bringing people in, it just becomes a whole nother thing. And then there's big companies that'll buy this stuff, but they're going to pay pennies on the dollar. They're going to look at this and go, okay, this is a massive amount of work, which it is. It turned into almost a full-time job for both myself and Earl. But we did it. And so that's how we ended up buying it. The big part of this, I don't know if you've looked at I've done some YouTube shorts on it. I've done some things on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot. But the big deciding factor on this stuff was there was a Magic the Gathering collection. And so if you know Magic the Gathering cards, you might want to check out some of the other videos. Check out the video that shows what the Magic the Gathering cards were, but it was an absolutely crazy Magic the Gathering collection. It did have a 9.5 graded Beckett, Alpha Lotus. It had a Chris Rush signature on it. It was 9.5 on the card and a graded 10 signature. One of the top, I want to say it was a top 3 card. I don't remember, top 2, top 3. In the whole population of Beckett graded Black Lotuses. So that was a big, if you know even a little bit about Magic cards, that's a pretty big deal. And then there was probably another 5,000 graded Magic cards. There was also some wax boxes, packs, boxes. Here you go. Here's a lot of other wax here. It's, Star Trek, not worth a lot, but there's some other stuff. But there was some wax, some Magic the Gathering wax. And then there were some loose singles and all that kind of stuff. So we factored that in when we bought it, knowing that we could get a nice chunk back on our initial investment by selling that stuff. We went the route of talking to Heritage Auctions. We talked to Golden. We talked to a few people we knew that were collectors. It's hard. It's hard to spend, or it's not hard. It's hard to make a deal on that level. It's a huge, we're talking big numbers. And so after we bought this, first thing we did is we sold those Magic. Every Magic card is gone. We sold it all to one person. Got a great number for it for us. The folks at Golden and Heritage both really wanted mostly that big card, but they wanted all of them. But we just decided we needed to take the sure thing, and so that's what we did. So we took the sure thing, sold that off, and now we're working through the rest, selling all this stuff on Whatnot. So it's a lot of 90s comics. It's a lot of bus, toys, but it's everywhere. It goes all the way up. So we haven't been through all these piles. We've gone through about 50% of them, I would say. But maybe I'll do another video showing some of the stuff. But that's the story. That's how we ended up with it. We're doing it all the time now. You can see us. We're warehouse __ collectibles. That's our name on both Instagram, Whatnot, and thirdly, eBay Live. So you can check us out. You kind of see what we're doing. It's kind of fun. You're going to see me on there a lot. We have some other folks that run shows for us too. So it's a lot of work, a lot of fun. But that's the basic story. That's how we ended up with this place. You wanted to know? There you go.